right, so just a couple things before we get started. I've got a little bit to say, the mayor's got a little bit, and then Mark Crickbaum has a little bit as well. We'll certainly entertain questions afterwards as well, so if you have any, we'll be here for a little while afterwards, or I guess during, to answer any of your questions. So, first of all, the City of Davenport and the Davenport Police Department are committed to public safety. I think you all know that. We're dedicated to putting every effort forward for our community's safety. And today is an exciting day for us and the Quad Cities as a whole. We've been selected after an application process to join the National Public Safety Partnership through the Department of Justice. First and foremost, I look at this as an opportunity to further our collaborative efforts focused on violent crime in our community. I also look at it as an opportunity to build upon some of the great things that we're currently doing in battling violent crime and to learn more about best practices around our nation. I want to thank the Department of Justice for selecting us to participate in this 3-year program. I also want to thank the men and women of the Davenport Police Department for their many successes and their dedication to addressing violent crime in our community. Thanks also go out to our City Administrator, Corey Spiegel, and her staff for making this happen, as well as our elected officials for their unwavering support. And especially our law enforcement partners who we work with every day behind the scenes, and many people in our community don't see that. But we have many of them here with us today, both local partners, state partners, and federal partners, who we are going to focus on violent crime as a Quad Cities community, and focusing right here in Davenport. We plan on sharing everything we learn throughout this process with our local, state, and federal partners. So I do want to give the mayor some time here with you. So Mayor Frank Klitsch.
Thank you, Chief. And again, as I mentioned many times, I am honored to represent the 103,000 people of Davenport, but as we talk about what we're going to be doing here, it's also the 450,000 people of the Quad Cities. We are truly honored to be selected, Department of Justice and the Public Safety Partnership, the opportunity we had to meet this morning and talk about what the components of that are going to be, the intensity of the work that's going to be done, and the resources that will be brought to bear on our community to help us move things forward. You know, it's one thing is we've done a number of things over the years. Our police department continues to reach out and embrace opportunities to get better and better. And this is another example of that. As the chief had mentioned, this is an application process. You apply and then you're chosen. And I talked to many of the federal, state, and local officials. One of the things that really is remarkable to them is how well we all work together and the collaborative atmosphere that happens. So I'm honored to be part of this group, but also more importantly, the city that with our, as the chief has mentioned, our city administrator and staff, but really our police officers day in and day out, the hard work that they do. This is an opportunity to take a great department and make it even greater. And that's a really excitement for us as a community and beyond. This will not only impact Davenport, but it's going to have collaborative support for the entire Quad Cities region. So we're excited to have that and the work that's going to be done here as well. So we're very excited and looking forward to working this. And the session we had in here this morning, anybody you could think of and any law enforcement entity was represented in this room this morning. And seeing all those people here coming together in a unified manner to collaboratively look at how to make Davenport better is tremendously exciting to all of us. And it was really somewhat not only a pleasure to see everybody, but it was a great testament to our department and to our city. So thank you all those individuals in advance. And I want to introduce Mark Crickbaum, who is with the U.S. Attorney's Office and who's really one of the leaders in this initiative for us. Mark?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate it. So my message today is a pretty simple one. It is a top priority of the United States Attorney's Office to combat violent crime in Davenport. We are committed to identifying those people who are the most violent members of the community and charging them with whatever crime we can prove. And in that effort, we stand shoulder to shoulder with the Davenport Police Department, the Bettendorf Police Department, all of the departments in this area, as well as the Scott County Attorney's Office. We are particularly emphasizing prosecuting gun crimes in federal court. So right now, today, my office is reviewing every gun case in the city of Davenport. If someone is arrested for a gun crime in Davenport, we are looking at that case to determine whether we can charge it in federal court. And there's a couple different reasons that we are prioritizing federal prosecution of these cases. One reason is that in the federal system, there is no parole, ever. So if you are sentenced to federal prison for a gun crime, you can guarantee that you will serve your time. A second reason that we are emphasizing federal prosecution is that federal law has a very long reach. So most people know that it's a crime to be a felon in possession of a firearm, but under federal law, it's also a crime to be a drug user in possession of a firearm. You cannot have a firearm if you've been convicted of a misdemeanor, crime of domestic violence. You can't have a firearm if you are near a school. You can't have a stolen firearm. You can't have a firearm with an obliterated serial number. And you cannot have a firearm as a drug dealer. And we are looking for those cases, we are identifying those cases, and we are prosecuting those cases, as many as we possibly can. The partnership that we've announced today, the Public Safety Partnership, is just that. It is a partnership between the Department of Justice and the Davenport Police Department. It's a 3-year commitment from the Department of Justice, and the goal is to make sure that the Davenport Police Department has the tools that it needs, the training and the resources and the technical expertise to combat violent crime in this community. So today was the initial conversation on that topic, and there will be many more conversations to make sure that we're putting a dent in this problem in Davenport. But I want to end with right where I started, which is with what I hope is a simple message. Gun crime equals fed time, no parole, ever. And we are committed to making this community safer. Thank you very much.
Does anybody have any questions for any of us?
Chief, there's something, the press release I got from the U.S. Attorney's Office talks about how it's to be considered for selection, sites have to sustain a level of violence that far exceeds the national average. And I was wondering how you measure that and what the national average is and where Davenport falls.
Yeah, so what we did in the application process is we basically gave the Department of Justice our statistics over the last several years. And I think it's not a secret that we had a really rough year in 2017. We had a tough year. In 2018, we saw some progress in dealing with violent crime, and as we are in 19 as well. I look at this program to really take a look at what we're doing here in Davenport and the Quad Cities and refining it and getting better at doing what we're currently doing.
Now, are these, which crimes are considered, that you had a bad year in 2017, which crimes are we talking about?
Yeah, so we're talking, mostly what we're talking about are gun crimes. We're talking about aggravated assaults, we're talking about homicides, any kind of violent offense with a firearm. Anybody
You
else?
mentioned you were looking at all the gun crimes on a local level. How many cases are you looking to maybe prosecute federally?
So, as many as we can. I mean, really, we want to get to capacity. And so, in 2019 so far, I think we've charged 15 federal gun cases in our Davenport office. We've had almost a dozen gun cases sentenced in federal court. I think the average sentence for those cases has been around 8 years in federal prison. So you can see that is a significant hit for the average gun case. And it's because of those penalties, that's the reason we want to take these cases in federal court. There's nothing better about federal court except for the penalties. And so that's why the priority is there.
Are you retroactively looking at old ones then, or just current ones?
We're looking at them as they come in the door, so current
Okay.
ones.
Okay.
So 15, I mean, to give us an idea of how many that is, how many, can you give me a quantification of like how many there are? You said 15 are federally.
How many
percentage
total
is
there
that,
are?
I guess,
I don't know the
total
answer to
number?
that. I don't know the answer to that. It's not going to be a majority of the gun cases in
Okay.
Davenport. And that's simply because we have to make sure that we have a violation of federal law. Not every gun crime is a violation of federal law. We're looking at those issues that I talked about. Do we have a drug user, a felon? Are we near a school zone? And is there a particular aggravating factor that justifies the federal sentence that we get? Not everybody needs to go to prison for 8
Right.
years. We're looking for the people who do.
But it is less than half.
I think that's fair to say. I don't have the numbers,
Okay,
but I
okay.
think that's a fair estimate.
And then, you're talking about making sure that Davenport has the training, the resources, and the technical expertise. Can you be more specific on methods and things? Is it more officers? Is it different tools? What are we looking at?
Yeah, so what this program offers, it doesn't offer more people, or what it really offers is it offers expertise to help us look at what we're currently doing and how we're doing it. And that means strategies. So whether it's street crime fighting strategies, investigative strategies. It also deals with crime analytics. How are we analyzing crime, and how do we use those statistics to best place our people, prioritize our offenders. It also takes a look at the technology that we currently have and what is the best technology, the most effective technology that's being used in the nation. So it'll really look at everything that we're doing and how we're doing it. And the great thing about this is that the idea isn't to form a violent crime strategy that is the same as another place in the nation. It's customizing it for us here in Davenport and here in the Quad Cities. So the team looks at exactly what's going on here and the resources that are available, both local resources, state resources, and federal resources. We're very fortunate here. We have a lot of resources. And it's to get everybody on board and going in the same direction with the same goal and purpose.
So it's more of the Department of Justice kind of taking a fine-tooth comb, going through, analyzing Davenport specifically, and giving you guys strategies and suggestions on how to best kind of handle violent crimes?
Yeah, so the program is a Department of Justice program, but there's experts, and we'll actually have a person assigned to Davenport. He's a former chief from Maryland, a large agency in Maryland. He was with us today. Tom Manger is his name. He was calling him Manger, and he was making fun of me. But a guy with a lot of wisdom and a lot of experience in law enforcement, and he will be the conduit to resources for us. There's a symposium that our team will be going to. I think the other thing that's important to talk about is the Scott County Attorney's Office, so the state prosecutors for our cases, they're involved in this process as well. Amy, the deputy county attorney, was here this morning with us as part of the team. They will be part of our team that goes to Memphis and meets with the people there to really start looking at what we're doing, how we're doing it. The other really neat thing that I think is that we have so many local partners here. Chief Kimball's here from Bettendorf. But I think all of you know that all of the police departments work very well with each other. Many of the things that we do are going to be related to Quad Cities law enforcement as a whole, not just the Davenport Police Department. We were fortunate to be able to acquire this and get involved in this, but this is really going to be all of us. And we're going to have the opportunity to do some different, to go to some different sites that are excelling in different areas that we want to excel in, and we're going to be able to include, leaders from other law enforcement agencies here in the Quad Cities. Any other questions?
Mr. Crickbaum, have you done this with any other city or place in your jurisdiction, or is this something brand new for you too?
No, this is the first city in our district that has gotten this award, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think the reason that Davenport was chosen, obviously we want to tackle the violent crime problem, but I think the reason it was chosen is because we have a police department here where the people in Washington saw that this effort would be effective. For a bunch of different reasons, including that the chief in this entire department is committed to using best practices to tackle violent crime. And then the second reason, which Chief Sikorsky already mentioned, the cooperation and collaboration between all of law enforcement in the Quad Cities area is as good as it is anywhere in the state. And so I think that people in Washington realize that investment here would yield a lot of payoff, and that's why the program has come here.
Guess what is your message to citizens of the Quad Cities about this program and how they'll benefit and actually see change from it?
Yeah, I think, so the message is this, we're doing a lot of great things here in the Quad Cities and here in Davenport, and we're committed to get better. We have an opportunity, a 3-year opportunity, to really hone in our cooperative efforts between all of law enforcement and prosecution and make our communities safe. All right, well, thank you all for being here. We appreciate you getting the message out for us.
Thank you.
I had one more question. What's the first step now?
In this process? Okay, so the first step was this morning, our collaborative group met and was, what do you think, 30-ish?
Yeah.
About 30 law enforcement executives, as well as the mayor was there, our city administrator was there, met for the first time, and we went over what this program actually is. The other thing we went over is our current strategy. What are we currently doing? How are we doing it? What are the tools we have that we are using as well? The next step in this is, like I said, we have our site person that's been assigned to us. With the actual introduction was made today. I've talked to him on the phone several times, but and we have a symposium in September that our team will go to really start undergoing the process of forming a great violent crime reduction tool for us here in the Quad Cities. Okay, thank you.